proposed class action lawsuit against the ride-hailing company Uber, filed by one of its drivers, will go ahead after Ontario's top court reversed a lower court decision that would have sent the matter to arbitration overseas. In a ruling released yesterday, the Court of Appeal for Ontario says a clause in Uber services agreement that requires all disputes to go through arbitration in the Netherlands amounts to illegally outsourcing an employment standard and therefore can't stand. It further concludes that the clause takes advantage of the significant power and financial disparity between Uber and its drivers, who would bear up to $14,500 American in filing fees just to begin the arbitration process, no matter the amount at stake in the dispute. The lawsuit, which claims Uber drivers are employees rather than contractors and thus subject to Ontario's labor legislation, had been stayed earlier this year by a motion judge who found Uber drivers were bound by the arbitration clause. The three-judge appeal panel says the motion judge erred on several points, including in considering the arbitration clause, like the kind seen in normal commercial contracts, where the parties are relatively equal in power and sophistication. A spokesperson for Uber Canada says the company will be reviewing the appeal ruling. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is poised to call by-elections in 3 federal ridings within days, and now he has a 4th vacant riding he may choose to fill at the same time. Sheila Malcolmson has officially resigned as the new Democrat MP for the British Columbia riding of Nanaimo Ladysmith. She's leaving the federal stage to run in a provincial by-election. There are 3 other vacant ridings: the BC riding of Burnaby South, where NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is hoping to win a seat in the Commons; the Ontario riding of York Simcoe, left open by the resignation of Conservative MP Peter Van Loan; and the Montreal riding of Outremont, where former NDP leader Tom Mulcair has resigned. Trudeau's office has confirmed the Prime Minister intends to call by-elections in those 3 ridings early this month, with the votes taking place in early February. He could now add Nanaimo Ladysmith to the roster, although he's shown little inclination in the past to rush into by-elections. Indeed, he faced criticism last October when he called a December 3rd by-election in a vacant Eastern Ontario riding, while leaving Burnaby South, York Simcoe, and Outremont to a later date. Canada's main stock index started the trading year higher in a volatile day yesterday that saw the key energy sector get a boost from rising oil prices. The S&P TSX Composite Index sank to a low of 14,112.84 soon after opening, but then it rebounded to close up 24.30 points. North American investors were initially pretty jittery after China released Purchasing Managers Index numbers that showed the first contraction of the country's manufacturing sector in 18 months. The number is viewed as a good leading economic indicator, adding to nervousness about economic growth in China and globally. Canada's PMI number, released yesterday, showed that the country's manufacturing growth slowed to a 2-year low in December, while the U.S. index hit a 15-month low. Markets turned around after oil prices got a boost from a preliminary report showing tanker volumes out of Saudi Arabia were cut by 500,000 barrels per day ahead of the January start of a deal by OPEC and non-OPEC countries to cut production by 1.2 million barrels a day. President Donald Trump said he shouldn't be popular in Europe, and if he was, he wouldn't be doing his job. Trump says he's asked European nations to pay their fair share of military bills, and this has led to his unpopularity.
But when you have massively wealthy countries that have very low military costs because the United States subsidizes that, so they take advantage of us on military. They could easily pay us the full amount. And they also take advantage of us on trade. So when I speak up, I mean, that's why I got elected. Issues like that, issues like the border. And it would be so easy not to do anything. When they say I'm not popular in Europe, I shouldn't be popular in Europe. If I was popular in Europe, I wouldn't be doing my job. Because I want Europe to pay. Germany pays 1%. They should be paying 4%. They're paying 1%. They should be paying even more than that. Other countries pay a small percentage of what they should be paying. So, when I say, I'm sorry, folks, you have to pay up, I shouldn't be popular in Europe. They do a poll. I was at 88%, and now I'm at, very low number. In Europe, I don't care about Europe. I'm not elected by Europeans. I'm elected by Americans.
Police west of Toronto have issued an arrest warrant for a 24-year-old woman accused of sexual assault. Peel Regional Police say Letitia Edwards confined her alleged victim in a home in Brampton on December 3rd. Investigators say the alleged victim, whose gender is not being released, tried to leave, but the woman would not allow them to. They allege she assaulted the person for several hours before finally allowing them to leave that evening. Officers say Edwards is wanted on charges of forcible confinement, assault, and sexual assault. They say they believe she is intentionally evading police. They're still digging out in Newfoundland. In St. John's, a storm dumped more than 20 centimeters of snow on parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. One snow removal company owner said the weather was keeping his trucks very busy.
Well, it's nothing that I'm not used to. Everybody here in Newfoundland is used to snow and stuff like that, but it's coming down really heavy, and the roads are really, really bad, I guess.
Today, yes, there's quite a storm on the go, and we're very, very busy. Starting this morning at 3 o'clock.
Oh my gosh, and did you get a break?
No break whatsoever. All the trucks are still out. Maybe haul them off now very shortly for a little while because it's getting too hard to see.
Right.
And then go back at it again early tomorrow morning.
In the U.S., all eyes will be on Congress today. Nancy Pelosi says House Democrats will quickly pass legislation to reopen the government without border wall funds when Congress convenes. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calls the plan a total non-starter.
Of course, there is urgent business that the new House and the new Senate will need to tackle immediately. Democrats will have to get finally serious about border security so that a government funding agreement can be reached. It can pass the House, earn 60 votes in the Senate, and get a presidential signature. All three of those things are needed to make a law. One partisan vote in the House tomorrow is not going to solve anything. I made it clear to the Speaker we're not interested in having show votes here in the Senate. We're interested in bringing up something that the House has passed, 60 senators will support, and the President will sign. The legislation that House Democrats are reportedly planning to introduce and be voted on tomorrow will not be a serious contribution to the negotiations that are going on between the administration and the incoming Democratic majority in the House. It isn't comprehensive. It ignores the needs of border security. It's exactly the kind of proposal you'd expect if the incoming House Democrats were choosing to stage a political sideshow rather than doing the hard work of helping to govern the country. In other words, a total non-starter.
The vessel traffic service for St. Mary's River will close Pipe Island Passage on January 5th. That's this Saturday. The Pipe Island course will become a two-way route. The Coast Guard would like to remind all recreational ice users to plan their activity carefully, use caution on the ice, and stay away from shipping channels.